Who can forget that wonderful line from Return of the Jedi when Admiral Akbar proclaims, "It's a trap." And all sci-fi geekery aside, most governments might claim they're by, for, and about the people, but really they're not. Most governments serve the rich class, rich corporations and rich individuals. They go through the rhythms, the theater of democracy. But studies have shown, recent peer-reviewed studies have shown that our governments do not function as a democracy or even a representative democracy. It functions as an oligarchy. It functions under the state known as inverted totalitarianism. But what has that to do with political rage? Even the dullest, thickest first semester, first year congressperson knows that there are more non-politicians and non-wealthy than there are members of the ruling class. So they look for many, many ways to distract and disempower us. One of the ways they do this is through political rage, giving us just enough of the truth to so overwhelm us with rage, to take that truth and then stoke our rage by turning a deaf ears to the cries of the populace they claim to represent, while standing idly by while things that are bad get worse. This fuels our rage. And what's so bad about that? Political rage undermines the sustainability of empathy. History and literature remind us that military revolutions based on rage, are seldom sustainable and often just create more harm than good. This was explained very well in an episode of The Twilight Zone starring William Falk, the guy who would go on to play Columbo in the early 70s. What happens when we exhaust ourselves with rage? It fuels our apathy. When we come face to face with the monsters who stalk the planet, the monsters in our government and our corporations, and our own potential monsters lurking within the catacombs of our own heart, it could create an overwhelm that fuels the apathy that the ruling class desire in us, the pitchfork-wielding plebs. Fortunately, there is a solution. A healthy meditation practice, which is consistent, practicing at least once every 12 hours or so, can help us to process our rage and our horror in a way that does not fuel apathy, in a way that helps us to unlock our inner creativity, our inner resourcefulness, and our inner empathy. Functional magnetic resonance imaging studies demonstrate that when a subject is exposed to peril, It's the bottom of the brain that lights up the amygdala, the seat of fear and aggression. When that is processed successfully, it ceases to light up. And instead, the anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy, lights up in its stead. But wait, there's more. Much to the chagrin of superficial fundamentalists, we are wired to hate peril, scarcity, pain, scorn, and shame. We're wired to notice these things in our lives and in the lives of those who share our planet, with whom we share our planet. We are wired to notice that during each inhalation when we access our sympathetic nervous system. And here's the ironic thing. As we exhale and then inadvertently access our parasympathetic nervous system, we're able to let go of the effect and even the causes of the things that fuel our political rage. Rage is aversion, and the opposite of aversion is avarice. So what is it we desire? We are wired by natural selection to desire safety, abundance, pleasure, health, praise, and fame, including the well-being and justice of all beings everywhere, within our country and without our country. We're wired for that already. By being vulnerable to those wholesome desires as we breathe in, and by releasing as we breathe out, we wind up releasing that which blocks that which we are wired to manifest, which is pretty wild. So according to certain translations of Garab Dorje's source text of Dzogchen, most effective manifesting is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random, in harmony with the natural processes of our inhalation and our exhalation, in harmony with our autonomic nervous system. So it's safe to be vulnerable. It's safe to read the news, especially the citizen reporters who have no financial motivation, no political agenda, who just want to let people know what's going on so they can let people know what the wrong thing is, that they might wish for the right thing. It's safe to be vulnerable to the ugliness and the horror and the injustice of this present moment, for we are able to process it through meditation, not just to selfishly cope, but to be part of an overall greater solution. One of the many fringe benefits to a healthy meditation practice is that it not only serves our empathy, but it serves our centered spontaneity. My Tibetan masters insist that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. It's loving, centered spontaneity, which can not only etherically affect the people around us, but affect our choices and our utterances and our deeds with greater empathy and creativity and resourcefulness than we ever previously imagined. So meditation is not intended to be a self-indulgent, self-righteous, self-centered escape from the suffering of others. Au contraire, it helps us cope with it. It helps us to manifest a solution, helps us to become the hero that we are looking for. It's been my experience that we can set ourselves up for an even more successful meditation session by, together as a team, chanting the Sunday morning excerpt of Song of Enlightenment, composed more than 1,000 years ago by Yongzhi Xuanzhui, translated from the Chinese into English by Red Pine, adapted and amplified by yours truly. Now, before we do that, remember, for the remainder of this morning's live stream, if at any point you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, if any of that which we chant seems opaque, type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now, if you're using a laptop or a desktop, that chat window should be on the right. And if you're using a smartphone, that chat window should be at the bottom. Who does not see a thing as a Tathagata, hence the name looking from on high. Though we perceive and empathize, we let go with each exhalation and are therefore freed from the tyranny of our scattered impulses. Together, those who understand are free from karmic burdens. Those who do not still have old debts to pay. Great wisdom comes not from good fortune, but from looking deeply through the lenses of perception and release. Together, a hunger that keeps them from sharing a royal meal, a sickness even a great physician cannot cure. Transcendental wisdom frees us from slavery to sensual delights, which could seem puzzling to those viewing us through the lens of convention. Together, to meditate despite desire is the power of prajna, and why a lotus is not burned in a fire. The ultimate protection comes from mindfulness and meditation, working as a team. Yongzhi committed crimes and realized nothing is born. He became a Buddha and is still one today. Let's not underestimate the power of emptiness. Together. When the lion roars its fearless teaching, it pities confused, obstinate fools who only see offenses that prevent Buddhahood, blind to the secret the Tathagata revealed. Tathagata means thus come one. It's one of the many nicknames for the Buddha. We're defined by contempt or pity, an important barometer of our own development. The offenses that buffet us, are they temporary or permanent? Another indicator of our spiritual progress. Together, two monks were guilty of crime, so Jaju parted with his firefly light. Layman Vimalakirti dismissed their doubts, as if the sun melted the snow. Both guilt and fear can function as hindrances when we cling to them as if permanent. It is not enough to notice these emotions. We must release them as well. Together. Inconceivable is a power of liberation. Its uses as countless as the Ganges sands. What is the difference between liberation and enlightenment? In my experience, liberation is the practice of the Eightfold Path, whereas enlightenment is its mastery. Mastery simply means we are able to practice something spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. And according to the Buddha, mastery of the Eightfold Path can be accomplished within as little as 7 days. Who would not give every possible offering, such as 10,000 ounces of gold, but even one's flesh and blood would fall short. When practiced through the lens of yin, the freedom afforded by mindfulness and meditation is beyond compare. I look forward to leading you through this morning's meditation practice after less than a minute of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I've spent more than half my life studying, practicing, and then reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Buddhism, so that I could play the Luke Skywalker to your Rey, that you could quickly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us begin with our final pre-meditation chant, wherein we recite empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We shall begin with the more literal triplet chant. Together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on thee. Buddha's example, instructions, and students. These three things are known metaphorically as the three wish-fulfilling jewels. We now conclude with the more concise and figurative recitation utilizing the bookend chant together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. Attention, fellow participants of rationality. This is not a prayer to a real or imagined entity. These are words of intention, nothing more. Let us take a moment or two to review the meditation instructions. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, such as Zen, Proto-Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekcho. Despite the fanciness of their names, the techniques are fairly simple. What then is the key to mindfulness? Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system, which is wired not for active concentration, but to merely perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. It's been taught across the world, across the ages, that our words lead our intention. Now, they might not change our reality, but they affect our intention. They are the levers by which we control the machine of our mind. And so we can play with words. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the 12-syllable exercise, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Now, we've been told the monkey mind is bad by 90% of the teachers out there, but the 10% who are wise understand that our minds are wired to be active. So what are some of the antics of mind? Mind playfully, through its organs, mind watches, hears, feels, tastes, smells, and the like. Mind also emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, imagines, and confabulates. What are we to do with the play of mind? We're to meditate upon it, but how do we do that? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired for both physical relaxation as well as a mental release. So the first exercise that we can play with, the 12-syllable Mondo meditation exercise we can play with during each exhalation would be the silent and mental recitation of the words, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So let's not fall into the trap of fundamentalism. Our job is not to superstitiously and rigidly believe in literal non-graspability, nor is our job to pseudo-intellectually strive to prove literal non-graspability. Let us remember what we were taught in elementary school, that not all statements are literal, many are figurative. And whenever we physically relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is most certainly non-graspable to the fingers. And as we relax into our exhalation, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it had never been born. It could feel as non-graspable as if it was not us. These are all metaphors. These are all similes that describe the sensations that are inherent to relaxing in harmony with our inhalation. So let us not fall into the trap. Since the Buddha walked the earth, whether he was real or imagined, people have been exercised duality and said, okay, perception's bad, letting go is good. No. We can recall the words of Dilgo Khyentse, one of the 14th Dalai Lama's late tutors, who insisted that just as a one-winged bird cannot take to the skies, similarly, you and I cannot taste of nirvana without both mindfulness and meditation, perception and release. We need them both. Together, as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of the aged Luke Skywalker. We're going to begin with our 12-syllable exercise. Remember, when you have specific questions about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, type those questions in the chat window. Now, it might seem a short eternity between you clicking send and me responding. That's because I check for questions approximately once every 8 or 9 minutes. This exercise is perfect for when you are experiencing great turmoil. For any of my fellow people with the TISM, The next time you experience PDA and you feel that someone's obstinacy is a threat to your existence and you feel a strong primal response, these words can help. I'm eternally grateful to the teachers who taught me this. I assure you I'm not clever enough to make this up. It was Tulku Tundap who taught me the power of watching the play of mind. It was Chagatu Tulku and Baka Tulku who taught, and Lama Gyatso taught me to relax into mind's non-graspable nature. We switch now to our 3-syllable version of the same meditation. Notice this, relaxing. I sincerely wish I had these exercises mastered before I entered puberty. Because I don't know about you, but for me, junior high was a living hell. At last we come to the final and most concise iteration, wherein during our inhalation we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during our exhalation we recite the 1-syllable verb ease. The first reformer of Buddhism, Gaurab Dorje, known in Sanskrit as Prahevajra, taught that the path to enlightenment is not a gradual path. It's a quick path. It's only a quick path. This is it. And you can master this week. Welcome to this morning's meditation practice. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. For during each inhalation, we're wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And with each exhalation, we are already wired to physically relax as well as mentally release. Let us seal this morning's meditation with a bit of the old chanting. Beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the four immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness for the spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging free. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this a great big thumbs up. This live stream, of course. And you could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 11 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.